Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting and spinning and crochet and weaving. A very big welcome to you all this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you spending time with me. I know I say that every week, but it is true. I know how busy life can be, and it's just a real thrill for me that there are people out there who want to come by and listen to me waffle on about what I've been making that week. I hope you've had a good week. How are you doing? Let me know in the comments below. Have you been up to anything exciting? Have you been working on any projects that have been filling your heart with joy? Yeah, let me know below. I have had a bit of an up and down week this week. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that one of my dear friends passed away, and it was her funeral service last week, so it was a difficult couple of days around that, but I also had a brilliant day on Saturday. A lovely viewer of the channel came to visit me at the shop, so hello Hazel if you're watching, hi. It was so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to visit. I hope I didn't come across as too crazy. I get really excited when I meet anyone who views here. It's kind of a strange thing. I know a lot of people say this, sitting and chatting at your camera, so real joy to meet someone in real life who is on the other side of the camera. So in the video today I have some crochet, some knitting, some spinning to chat about. No weaving this week. I am working away on my rainbow warp, but there's not really that much to show you at the moment, so that probably won't get shown again until either there's something of particular interest that I want to chat about, or that piece is finished. At the end of the video I have a couple of beautiful little objects that people have sent me for the upcoming Yarn and Yarns community window display, so I want to show those off. And also I have some news about a new make along that we will be starting, and I'll be hosting that over in our Ravelry group. The link for the Ravelry group will be in the description box just below the video here. So yeah, hopefully we can muddle through. It's a very stormy day here again in South Wales, so you may be able to hear the rain pelting down in the background, and I've had to move slightly into a different corner of my room to record, to get some half decent light. So we're just working with what we've got. Hopefully we can muddle through together. So I think we will start with crochet today. I have a finished object to show off in crochet this week. Very kindly the lovely Chris, hi Chris, sent me this gorgeous book called Making Winter by Emma Mitchell. And there are many beautiful projects in this book. There are recipes, there's some crochet, there are just generally lots of different sort of crafts and cozy things, and as it says on the front, it's a creative guide for surviving the winter months. And yeah, the last few months have been very up and down for me, and so Chris sent me this book as a thinking of you gift, which was so sweet, and there are so many projects in here that I really want to tackle. But the first thing on my list was a crochet cowl, which in the book is called the fennel cowl. So here is the pattern in the book. The photography in this book is just a joy. So I grabbed a skein of West Yorkshire Spinners Retreat and started my own version of the cowl. So the pattern in the book is reasonably broad in terms of direction. It just says 100 grams approximately of chunky weight yarn and a 6mm hook. It doesn't give any tension or gauge or anything like that. So I cast mine on with the recommended needle size, and here is my finished cowl. Isn't that beautiful? I love this gorgeous green colour. So I think this is the Serene colourway in the West Yorkshire Spinners Retreat. It's a single ply chunky yarn. I had to change the pattern direction slightly. I am a pretty loose knitter and crocheter, so my tension compared to most people is a lot looser, and I often find to get the same tension in as a lot of the knitting and crochet patterns recommend, I have to go down a hook size or two, but for a cowl I wasn't going to worry about tension, and as I say, there wasn't anything in the book to particularly follow anyway. But I had to take out a whole pattern repeat of these shells to make my cowl out of the 100 grams, but that's fine, it's plenty wide enough. So yeah, 6mm hook, and this is all that I had left from a 100 gram ball of the retreat. I'm kicking myself a little bit. So this progress keeper here shows where I was in the cowl last time you saw it. So yeah, over the last week I have basically put in a few of the pattern repeats and finished. So yeah, I had to take out a whole pattern repeat. So in the original pattern there are 5 groupings of this shell, and I've only got 4, but it's still plenty wide enough. I wish I'd done the thing that I always wish I do when I get to the end of crochet, and that is start with a larger hook size for my starting chain. If I hold this up, you might just be able to see I'm stretching out a little bit, but the bottom of the cowl here, which is where I ended, is slightly wider than the top, and that's because my starting chain is a little bit tight, and I should know by now to get around that. The best way for me usually is just to go up a hook size or 2, but in my excitement to get the project started I completely forgot to do that. I haven't actually blocked this yet, and I think if I block and sort of stretch this out, it will be fine, and it's not massively noticeable anyway, and when the cowl is on it's absolutely fine, you don't see it, so there's no problems there. Oh, this is so squishy and cozy and lovely. I've been really enjoying wearing cowls this winter as opposed to shawls. My shawl collection has been fairly neglected with the exception of 1 or 2, so I definitely am excited to add some more cowls into my wardrobe. So yeah, fennel cowl off the hook, which I am really pleased with. I'm going to give that a little bit of a soak later today, and then let it dry and I can start wearing it. It's still plenty wintry enough here to need all of the warm knitwear. I think we'll move on to knitting next. I've got quite a few works in progress to show you, no finished objects this week. I think I've got three works in progress lined up that I'd like to chat to you about. I am definitely in sweater mode at the moment. Alongside my Radiate, I have been working on my Love Note. So this was another one of my projects that I cast on for my 12 cast-ons of Christmas Madness. And last time, let me try and get this to a point where I can show you what's what. This project started with a provisional cast on, and now the sleeves are also on hold, so I've got lots of bits of yarn hanging off off of this project. So this marker here shows where it was after my first day of working on this, and that was the last time you saw this project. So as you can see, I have finished the lace yoke of this project, and I've split for the sleeves. I'm now knitting down the body. So this is a really fun simple knit at the moment, which I am really enjoying. So on my yarns, I'm holding together some Rowan Kid Silk Haze in a really bright yellow colourway, which is sadly discontinued now. I'm holding that together with some Yew and Ply yarn, Poledale Silk 4-ply. This is the Astaroch colourway. And it says it is, let's see, 60% Polworth, 25% brown Corridale and 15% silk, spun at the John Arben Mill in Devon. So yeah, I'm just plugging away at this. I wound up my yarn and my mohair together. I thought that would save me a bit of time, and because I'm alternating skeins. I've got 2 skeins of the 4-ply yarn, so I'm alternating skeins, and I thought if I wound it up with a mohair it would save me having like 4 balls of yarn trailing off this project. I'm not sure if that did me any favours or not, because the mohair seems to have wound on slightly differently, and I'm getting all of these kind of like bits hanging out, which means I'm forever sort of like tugging and straightening anyway. But yeah, I've made some good progress. This is a cropped sweater. The pattern is by Tin Can Knits, and the sort of recommended length for the crop is 6.5 inches from the underarm. So that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to be tight in terms of the amount of yarn that I've got, and there is a chance I may be pairing this with something else for the ribbing, or I may make shorter sleeves. So my plan is basically knit to the 6.5 inches recommended before the ribbing, and then I'm going to go back, pick up for the sleeves and just go from there, see how much yarn I have. I'm loving this. It's so soft and squishy. I guess the combination of the Pearlworth and silk yarn along with the mohair and knitting it at such a loose gauge, it's just making for a really lovely squishy fabric. I cannot wait to be able to wear this. My fluffy duck top, as I'm affectionately calling this. This is knit on 6mm, I think. Again, everything's done on 6s today. And as I say, I'm alternating skeins for this, and I believe it may have been Martin who asked a little while ago how I go about alternating skeins, and I basically use the helical knitting method, and Grace of Babbles Travelling Yarns has a really great video on that over on her YouTube channel. But I'm almost at the point where I am about to switch. So here is the yarn that I'm working at the moment, and I'm coming back to the other yarn that's hanging out. So I'm at that point. So if I knit a few stitches, then I can probably show you exactly what I'm up to. But as I say, there's a brilliant video by Grace that explains, I think she's called it Jogless Stripes or something like that. But I'll try and, if I remember, link to it below. So let me try and move the camera around and I'll show you what I'm up to if I can. I'm knitting away across my row. Sorry, this is a little bit awkward because I'm reaching around the camera so you can see what I'm seeing. And I'm coming up to the point here where my other ball of yarn is hanging out. So I want to knit to 2 or 3 stitches before I get there. So I just need to knit 5 stitches. So let's get that done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to slip the next 2 without knitting them, slip them purlwise onto my right hand needle, and I'm going to pick up the yarn that's just hanging out here, and I'm going to carry on round the rest of the round with that second ball of yarn. And then when I get back to this point in the round, so this is the first ball of yarn that I've just dropped, I'm going to do exactly the same. So with the yarn that I'm currently working with, I'll knit to 2 or 3 stitches somewhere around here, and then I shall slip the last 2, pick this one back up and continue knitting around. So hopefully that kind of made sense. Quick demo, but as I say, I shall, if I can remember, link Grace's video below here. So yeah, it's quite a handy little technique to employ if you're working with indie dyed yarns, and I did the same on the sweater that I'm wearing today. I'm wearing my Mount Pleasant knit in the lovely Druid colourway from Curio Yarns, the lovely Ellie. Ellie has a wonderful podcast as well here on YouTube. Sorry, I'm knitting away here on my love notes rather than concentrating on chatting to you, so I needed to put this away and get back to what I'm meant to be doing. So that's living in my Lone Larch project bag. Treated myself to this ages ago when I first got back into knitting. So yeah, fits nicely in there. The next 2 projects that I have to show you are brand new cast-ons. I know you are rolling your eyes at me. I have way too many things on the needles already. If you watched my Yarn and Yarns extra video this week, you will know that I frogged a project. So I've only got one more that And I finished my crochet cowl, so technically I'm back on an even keel. I don't need to make excuses. You all know what I'm like. So the first project that I'm working on are a pair of socks. I posted a picture on Instagram last week of my finished patterns Croy socks, and my sister commented. My sister lives over in the east of England, and we don't get to see each other very often. She said, would I be able to make her some giraffe, the animal giraffe print socks? So I thought, yeah, I could probably have a go at that. She's got this obsession with giraffes. I don't know where it's come from, but she's had it for a while. So I got out my pen and my paper, and I've decided to try and design a sock for her. And I've knit the leg of the sock so far. So, oops, let's make sure I don't lose a bunch of stitches off the end. This is my progress so far. I posted it over on Instagram earlier on in the week, so if you follow me there you may have already seen this. So yeah, it's coming along quite nicely. I'm using, I think this is Cascade 220 sock. In just white, as you can see, it's completely blowing out on the camera. I've had that in my stash. I bought 2 skeins of this. Oh god, quite a few years ago. I was going to use it to edge a crochet blanket. I was going to do like a granny square blanket with white edges, and that project never came to fruition. So I thought I'd steal that in the interest of trying to use what I have rather than buy stuff all the time. And then I also nabbed this colour of West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply. I want to say it's the Nutmeg colourway, but I might be wrong. It's colour 630. And yeah, as I say, this is what I have so far. I just drafted out a pattern on a piece of square paper, and I've just been following it, and as you can see I've made some modifications along the way, but I might make a little Yarn and Yarns extra video just chatting about that, because I'm learning quite a lot. I'm at the point now where I'm about to put in a heel. My sister thankfully has really tiny feet, so I'm hoping that once I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset in the West Yorkshire Spinners colourway, and then I'm going to go back to working on the colour work pattern for the foot. So yeah, I'm hopeful that these won't take too long. This literally just took me a couple of mornings in the shop when I had groups. It's knitting up really quickly, so I'm keeping that in a project bag that I made ages ago from this gorgeous calf facet print cotton, and I had it for sale up in the shop, just hanging in the shop. I often have a few project bags for ages and no one bought it, so I decided it was destined to stay with me. I love this bag. It's been surprisingly straightforward so far, my first attempt at self-designing something, but there's plenty. Now I'm at the heel and got to do those gusset decreases and stuff. There's plenty of time for things to go wrong. So I'm anticipating at some point it won't be all smooth sailing. The second project I cast on this week is living in my lovely gothic sort of Halloween-y haunted project bag. I love this bag so much, but it really goes with the colour scheme of the project inside. So if you remember, a few weeks ago I went to Bath and I visited a Yarn Story and Wool, the 2 yarn shops there, and at the Yarn Story this gorgeous skein of Malabrigo sock came home with me, the Bacco colourway. And I really wanted to, so I have this new kind of rule that anything that comes into the house I want to try and get on the needles as soon as possible. I've got a ton of stash, you can see some of it behind me, and it just sits languishing. So in order to try and prevent myself from buying too much, I want to try and, as I say, cast on relatively quickly with anything that comes my way this year. So I was hunting around for various patterns that I thought might go with the yarn. I'd already decided to pair it with this lovely stranded dye works skein of Magpie that I had in my stash. I purchased that from someone on D-Stash. I didn't have a project in mind for it, but I knew it was a nice kind of like contrasty sort of tonal black with some sort of shots of blue and green in there. So actually when I picked this skein up, this one immediately popped into my head, so I knew I wanted to pair those together. I did a little swatch and it is tiny, teeny tiny. Hopefully it's still in my bag lurking somewhere. Oh, there it is. So I've done the world's smallest brioche sample. And I really like this side of the brioche with Malabrigo showing, but I wasn't so keen on this. I think it's all just a bit messy and lost, and I think for the project that I originally had in mind, I think both sides needed to look nice. But I did really like this, so I had a hunt around on Ravelry and I've cast on a cowl, another cowl by Tammy Gore. I love Tammy's patterns. You may have seen me knit the Drifter shawl a little while ago, and I wear that shawl all the time. I could literally knit any of Tammy's patterns and be happy, I am pretty sure. So yes, I am knitting the Stone Harbour. The Stone Harbour is a cowl. I don't have a picture of it. I have printed out the pattern, but only the pattern directions, not the actual picture. And basically it's a really deep cowl with lots of different sections. There's some stockinette, there's some lace, and there's a little bit of brioche, and only one side of the brioche will be showing, so I can employ this technique to show off the lovely Malabrigo. Parts of the pattern are held together with mohair. So a little while ago, one of my customers gave me a bag of mohair that she'd purchased ages ago, she said, and didn't really get on with it. There was a lot of just like a kid silk haze in a sort of brownie colour, which I haven't found a use for yet. But also in that bag were 2 skeins of this gorgeousness, which is a sadly discontinued yarn from Rowan. It's called Kid Silk Night. So it's this black colour with these flecks of sparkliness in, and I thought that would be perfect for this project because I think it pairs nicely with both of the colourways, and you don't hold the mohair through the entire project. I am a little bit concerned that I might not have enough of the mohair because yardage wise, in terms of the pattern, I had just about enough if there were 2 full balls of this, but there wasn't quite 2, so one of the balls obviously had been dipped into for another project. But I figure if there's a row or 2 somewhere in my cowl that doesn't have the mohair, it won't be the end of the world. So yes, this is what I have so far. Very black. So the first section was just a few rows of rib, and then a wide stockinette section, which is the Stranded Dyeworks Magpie held together with that sparkly mohair. I think you can just about see that sparkle coming through on the camera. I'm now on to section 2, which is a lace section, and for this it's just the Stranded Dyeworks without the mohair. I'm only a few rows into that section, so there's not really that much to see, but I think you can just about see the sort of contrast between the yarn held with the mohair and the yarn held singly. It's really sort of dark and luscious and fluffy here, and then it's turning slightly lighter here where it's just the 4-ply held on its own. So yeah, not much to show and a little bit awkward to show. But I think I'm really going to enjoy this project. This mohair was just a stroke of luck, really. I'm knitting that on, I think 4mm needles is what the pattern called for, so that's what I've gone for. That project will probably take a while. It's not going to be given any sort of priority. I have tons of other projects to work on, but it's nice to have something decided for that new yarn that came home with me and something already on the needles. Final section this week is spinning. My spinning obsession continues. I've got quite a few things to show you. So I've got several little samples that I've finished, and I also have a work in progress to show you too. So the first, I'll just show you the little samples that I've spun up. At the end of last year, I signed up to a fibre club from Nellie and Eve, and it's a naturally dyed plant-based fibre club. So every month I get a package with 100 grams of fibre, and also so far I've had 3 packages and they've all had little extra treats in them, which is really nice. Last month's package had a little sample included, as well as the main fibre of this Romney BFL, and I spun it up. It's gorgeous. I spun it on my spindle. So I just 2-plied this yarn not too much to say about it. The colours are beautifully subtle. I showed a picture of it on my spindle on Instagram earlier this week, so you may have already seen it, but yeah, it was just beautiful to spin with. So that's just going to hang out in my little hand spun stash until such time as a lovely project comes along for it. And in that package, the main fibre was 100 grams of BFL, and I'll pop in a little bit of video here of the fibre before I started spinning it. As you may already know, I signed up to the Nellie and Eve Naturally Dyed Fibre Club, and I've had 2 instalments so far. I'm busy spinning the first instalment on my drop spindle. I've just had a notification that the 3rd instalment is on its way, so I want to get the 2nd instalment on my wheel before this Fibre Club starts stacking up. So I thought I'd show you the fibre before I start spinning it. So here it is. Isn't that glorious? So there's this kind of like purpley grey colour, this natural sort of heathered brown, and then this gorgeous cranberry red. So again, as the same as the first club, it's dyed on Blueface Leicester. And so yeah, I've got one going on my spindle, as I say, and one going soon on my wheel, so I'm excited about that. So this is the card that gets sent with the club. Hi Angela, happy 2020. After all the stormy weather we've had, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the only colour of this month's Fibre Club would be grey. Instead, I've taken inspiration from the hyacinth bulbs I planted for indoor colour. There's some well-being extras too in the package. I'm excited to open up this braid and decide how I'm going to spin. So interestingly, when I unwound this, instead of the braid that I was expecting, there's actually different sections of the colour fibres, of the coloured fibres, twisted together. There's a little less of this sort of beigey, browny, yellowy colour. Well described there, Ange, well described. Than the rest. So I think before I start spinning, I'm going to weigh these out and try and figure out what I'm going to do, because my natural inclination is some sort of self-striping, but because there's less of this fibre, I'm not sure how that would work out. So yes, a bit of planning may be involved before I actually start to spin this project, which is kind of fun. In the end, I decided just to keep the colours as they were, and I have spun them all and 2-plied them. So I basically weighed out each colour section, split them in half, spun them to 2 separate bobbins, and then plied them together. And this is the beautiful yarn that I have. I love this so much, particularly this cranberry yarn. Oh, it's just beautiful. It really is gorgeous. I think the colours are just so lovely and rich because they're dyed on a sort of coloured base to start with. They've got this gorgeous sort of heathered quality to them. So yeah, as I say, I kept them all separately in the end. So this is the smallest, and then there's slightly more of the cranberry, and then the biggest section is that lovely heathered sort of purpley grey. And I figured that would be the best way to achieve some sort of striping project at some point, hopefully with these. But given that they were different quantities, I didn't really want to sort of mix them all together. So I spun these on my wheel and yeah, 2-plied them. So yeah, not too much else to say about that, except this fibre is just absolutely gorgeous. If you are looking for a fibre club to join, I can highly recommend Nellie and Eve's. That fibre was in the 2nd box that I received. I'll show you the fibre from the 1st box in a minute because I have that on my drop spindle. Actually, I'll show you that now. So again, this was BFL, and here is my sort of pre-drafted fibre bumps, and I'm spinning that away on my Whimsy wooden wool drop spindle I purchased in New Zealand. It's just glorious. It really is lovely. I am in the process of filming a video which will become a Yarn and Yarns extra on how I drop spindle, because a few people have requested another one of those. I did a little section in one of my Vlogtobers about that, but yeah, I'll be chatting more about this fibre and the spin in that video. So if you're interested, then look out for that one coming up hopefully in the next few weeks. So that's my spinning work in progress, and then I have one other spinning finished object, and this kind of is going to segue into the new make along that we have. So I've been teasing this for a little while, just haven't had the time to chat about it properly. This make along was suggested by the lovely Ellie. Hi Ellie, if you're watching. So from now until the end of April, we're going to have a new techniques make along. So basically anything that you fancied trying, knitting, spinning, crochet, weaving, anything goes. Just try a new technique to you. So maybe you've never knit a pair of socks before, maybe you've never knit brioche before, maybe you want to try Tunisian crochet for the first time, maybe you want to try and spin for the first time or weave for the first time. Anything that's a first for you. So I'm going to pop up a thread in the Ravelry group. There is no obligation to finish your project at all. I just want you to try something new. So I'm going to open up a thread and we can just chat it away, and I will have a prize draw at the end of the make along, but I will pick from all of the projects that have a photo in them. So just pop a photo of a little bit of progress that you've made. As I say, you don't need to finish the project in any way, shape or form. Maybe you're going to try something and you decide it's really not for you. So I want to everyone who's given it a go to be in with the chance of winning a prize. I haven't decided what the prize will be, but I'll try and figure that out and let you know soon. My entry, not that I'm eligible for the prize, but my participation is going to be trying a few new spinning techniques. So for the most part at the moment I have been doing what I think is called a worsted type spin, so a short forward draw, and if you watched my how I spin on my spinning wheel video, you will have seen the techniques that I use for that. So this week I had a go at long backwards draw, which is more of a woolen technique, I believe. It lets a little bit more air, you get a little bit more fluffiness into your yarn, is my understanding, but as per usual I'm not an expert, so if anyone is an expert out there and I'm talking rubbish, let me know in the comments below. But you may remember a couple of weeks ago, the lovely Julie, hi Julie, sent me a package, and in that package was a gorgeous little sample of Norfolk Horn fibre, 25 grams from the Fibre Workshop. So I decided to have a go at long backward draw, and this is my results. It's a little bit lumpy bumpy, a little bit thick and thin, as you would expect from playing around with a new technique, but I had so much fun with it, like so much fun. I decided to chain ply it in the end because it was only a sample, so my plying is a little bit over twisted. Anyway, this is the yarn that I've ended up with, so it's really not too bad at all, but as you can see there's quite a lot of sort of thick fluffy parts and then some finer parts, but I definitely got more consistent as the spin went on, and I really just enjoyed the technique. It was really fun to play with, so I am going to experiment. I've got a few more bats. This was a lovely little bat. I've got a few more bats in my stash, so over the next couple of months I will be playing with this technique a little bit more to see if I can improve the yarns that I produce, but this really was a really nice little bat. I've never tried this Norfolk Horn before. This beautiful kind of like natural creamy colourway with sort of like shots of sort of beigey brown running through it. It's really lovely, it really is. So yeah, I had immense fun. I know it looks a bit scruffy. I haven't tied it up very well and it's very thick and thin. But I had immense fun spinning this. So thank you, Julie, for the affording me the opportunity to have a really nice play around on my spinning wheel. So yeah, this is my first participation for our new techniques make along, and I hope you will pick a technique or two that you haven't tried and come along and join us chatter away in the Ravelry group. Okay, I need to speed things up, I think. It's going to be a fairly long video. Things left to chat about. So first off, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has been able to donate to the channel via the coffee link. I have, since I last chatted about this, which is probably a couple of weeks since I mentioned this, I like to be open and transparent, and I have received £14 worth of donations. So thank you so much to anyone who has been able to donate. I really do appreciate it. I have a little goal over on Coffee, which was to raise some money to take a trip to alternate universe. universe. I'm going to change that goal slightly, only because my lovely friend Julia, who is Mindful Magpie over on Instagram, hi Julia, has offered to drive me to alternate universe. So that trip is definitely going to happen, but I don't need the money to hire the car and stuff like that. So I think I'm just going to morph those donations over to maybe my Wonderwall trip, which will be at the end of April. So you guys will help me fund my transport and stuff to Wonderwall instead. I hope that's okay with you all. So yes, thank you so much to coffee donators. And finally, a big thank you to everyone who has said that they are interested and willing to contribute to the Yarn and Yarns community window display. I chatted about this in the video last week, and basically I've just put a call out for anyone who might be interested to send a mini something so that I can create a lovely window display for the shop at some point in the future. I think I said maybe mid-April as a deadline for items that you want to send. And I've got a few things to show off this week. So during the week I went out to dinner with Miranda, who is one of the lovely local indie dyers based in Cardiff. I stock her yarns in the shop, so you probably would have heard me chat about her before. And she gave me this really cute little hat that she made. So thank you, Miranda. That's going to go into the display. And I mentioned earlier that I got the opportunity to meet Hazel on Saturday, and Hazel brought with her some gorgeous knitted flowers. So, oh wow, isn't that spectacular? It's gorgeous, isn't it? So she gave me this one and also this one, and they're beautiful, and she said I could layer them up in the display if I wanted to. I think that looks really pretty, doesn't it? So thank you so much for that, Hazel. I cannot wait to add these into the display. As I mentioned, I'm going for kind of a garden type theme. So I'm going to have kind of a washing line type effect with any mini garments and socks and sweaters and things that get sent. And then I'm going to have like a sort of grass area. So anything like this will be added to that area, which is fantastic. And then also the lovely Sylvia, I've mentioned Sylvia before, she is Rose Garden Cottage over on Instagram, and I had the opportunity to meet Sylvia a little while ago. She visited in the shop. We've been friends online for a long time. She sent a package to the shop this week, and she sent a postcard of her area in Cambridgeshire, and these two gorgeous crocheted birds. Aren't these so much fun? I love them. They're from West Yorkshire Spinners. I recognise these straight away. So Sylvia, these are actually going to go straight into the window display because, as you know, I've got a birds theme at the moment for my display. So I'm going to hang these up in the display, and then they will continue to morph over into the community window display as well. I love these. It's got a cute bead eye, and then there's these lovely little buttons for their feet. Love them. So cute. Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia also sent me some chocolate, which was a little bit naughty, but very nice. Thank you. So I'm going to start to save all of these items in a little box in the shop, and yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really fun display for me to create. We have finally reached the end. Thank goodness, you'll probably be saying. I feel like I've waffled on for ages, and I'm not sure I've made entirely good sense. Not unusual really, is it? So yes, I shall let you go. My lovely friend Lisa is coming to visit me today, and hopefully she's going to enjoy messing around on my spinning wheel later. So I've got a fun afternoon to look forward to. Before that, I need to hopefully get this video edited and start uploading it to YouTube. But you don't need to know about that stuff. I hope that until we get to spend time together again, you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. And until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.